Today I'm going to talk about why it's harder to fall asleep when there is clutter in your environment. Why, when you are ready to go to sleep and there's clutter, you just find yourself staying up. Let's get into it. The first reason is just uncomfortable. You ever walked into a room where it's your friend or family or whatever, and maybe even a hotel room where you walk in and you just see clutter everywhere? You see everything just thrown about. You see things like the bed is not made. You see things like just clothes on the floor. You see shoes all over the place. You see all sorts of toys, whatever. You see a lot of clutter around. And when you see that, you're like, not really comfortable here. It's okay to be in a place like this, but because of all this clutter around, I'm just not comfortable. And how do you sleep when you're not comfortable? It's really hard to sleep when you're not comfortable because as soon as you walk into that environment, you're walking into chaos, right? You're walking into a place that's just not in order. And so now you're looking around going, wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. It's not in order. It's completely out of place. And you're just looking and going, I'm really not really comfortable staying in this place or being in this place. You're sitting around just looking at all this stuff, especially if you have, issues being in kind of enclosed spaces, right? And there's so much clutter around you that it's just like making the room smaller. Then what do you feel like? How are you feeling at that point? You might just be like, hey, this is, there's just too much stuff there. And so when you were in that environment, it is just harder to go to sleep because you can't really get relaxed because you have to figure out, okay, all the stuff is there. I know it's there. Let me not try to think about it. And you still see it. And it just keeps going through your mind that this place is out of order. It's just in this chaotic state. And so it's hard to kind of let your mind focus and relax to go to sleep. As opposed to if you walk into a place and everything's in order and you're like, okay, this is clean. It looks pretty good. I feel pretty safe or whatever. I'm going to go and relax and fall asleep. And you just relax and fall asleep because you're not looking at everything else in the room. You're not trying to figure out, well, how did all this stuff get there? Why is it there? Why didn't they pick up this? Why is this out of place? I don't know. And why am I in this place right now? Instead of being somewhere that's a little more in order, a little more where I feel safer, and you just don't feel like that when you are in clutter. So your mind is always thinking about the clutter that is around me, the clutter that is just in this place right now. How do I fall asleep in that kind of environment? And you want to relax, you want to be able to go to sleep. But as you're trying to go to sleep, you're just like, man, this place is just not feeling right now. And I don't know what's going to happen. Your brain is like saying, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm in this place that has all this clutter, all this, kind of chaotic environment. What's going to happen next? And so you can't relax and your brain can't relax. And now you're just kind of stuck and you're up and you want to go to sleep. You're ready to go to sleep. But then it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're still up. And you're like, what is going on? Why can't I fall asleep? And then you keep looking around, you keep looking around at all the stuff that's in your environment and you don't feel comfortable. So now you're trying to go to sleep and you get kind of stressed out and anxious because you are trying to go to sleep, but you can't go to sleep and you're trying and trying and trying. That just stresses you out. That just increases your anxiety, right? Because you want to go to sleep, you're trying to go to sleep, but because you're in this environment, you're just not able to sleep. And when you're stressed, it's hard to relax mentally and physically. It's not an easy thing when you're stressed out and you're trying to figure out, okay, what is going on in this room? Like, why is this room the way it is? And you keep thinking about it, and then you're trying to get comfortable and you just can't because your muscles just feel like they're stressed out and your mind is really stressed out in this environment. I'd rather be someplace that's more in order and that is more clean and more cleaned up and stuff's not on the floor and stuff's not everywhere. There's just thrown everywhere and there's not a lot of clutter. You feel a lot better if you're in some place that doesn't include all that stuff. But now you're in this cluttered environment and you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to be like, okay, I want to relax. I want to relax. But you're like laying down, you're trying to get yourself relaxed. And you just don't feel like you can relax right then and there. You just don't know what to expect. You're just like, I don't know what's going to go on. There's so much stuff here. What am I to expect in this environment? Another thing that you have to do when you're trying to sleep, you have to focus on sleep. You have to be able to say, okay, I'm going to sleep. I'm going to focus on sleeping and I am going to go sleep right now. Now you're in a cluttered environment. there is a big distraction around you because there's so many things to look at. There's so many things to pay attention to. How are you going to get really focused and relaxed and able to go to sleep when you have so much stuff around you that is a big distraction? And because of that, it's much harder to get relaxed and go to sleep because there's so many distractions around you to look at and see and say, I wonder what that is doing over there. I wonder what that is doing over there. Why in the world did they place that there? Why is that in here? Why is that on the floor? And you can think about all those things. And you're going to wonder, what in the world am I in right now in this cluttered environment? And remember, sleeping is a focused activity. You have to be able to relax. You have to be able to focus on sleeping. You have to be able to get in bed and say, okay, I'm going to focus on sleep. I'm going to go to sleep right now. But instead, you're looking at all the different distractions in the room, and it's going to make it hard to sleep because you are distracted from sleeping. You're distracted by this over there or that over there or this thing over there, and you can't really focus on sleeping. You're thinking about sleeping basically, but it's going to be harder for you to actually focus on sleeping because you're going to focus on a lot of different things, a lot of different distractions, and that's going to make it harder for you to relax and go to sleep. Now, the other thing is, if it's your apartment, your house where you are in this cluttered environment, then what might happen is you might start thinking about all the things you should have done, all the things you should have done before you start to get in bed. You should have cleaned up this, you should have cleaned up that, you should have put this away in this place, you shouldn't have this on the floor. So all these things will come to your mind, and then you're going to be stressed out because you know you should have done a lot of this stuff, or you plan to do it and you just didn't get to do it. And now you want to go to sleep, but now you can't because of the fact that you are thinking about everything that you should have done in advance, that you should have done earlier, that you should have done the day before, that you should have done this time and that time. And that would have prevented it from being in the place right now. Like maybe you should have done your laundry at the time. You thought about doing your laundry, but you didn't. And now you have a laundry pile in your room, or you have something that's just out of place. Maybe a chair's out of place, or there's a lot of books on your bed or whatever, right? So you're looking at that and saying, I should have put this up. I should have put this there. I should have found a place, a home for this. And when you think about all that, it just distracts your mind from sleeping because you're thinking about all the things you should have done. And so it's much harder for you to go to sleep in that environment because you're looking around at it and saying, I should have done these different things. And so you're focusing on that instead of focusing on trying to get to sleep. So what do you think about all this? What do you think about a cluttered environment making it harder for you to sleep? Have you been in that situation? What did you do to actually get to sleep? And were you able to sleep more comfortable in that situation? Tell me about all that in the comments. Also, if you want to know more about decluttering, then click this video right here. I actually have two videos about decluttering. You can watch them both, and there are 27 different tips for that in those videos. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.